When I was in my early 20s, I joined CrossFit. We had a CrossFit place right down the road from where I worked. I went in with some of my fellow guys at my workplace, and we would go for it during lunchtime. Right around the noon time, we would take our hour lunch break. We'd get in there. There'd be rock music playing. People be yelling at you, and they'd be like, let's go. You know, you'd be doing burpee box jump overs, and then you'd be doing on the assault bike and pull-ups and running, a little bit of everything, to be honest. CrossFit kind of has that culture of like, all right, you got to be a little crazy to be into that. And you'd be right. You kind of were. But, you know, it was fun. It was a challenge. It was something where you drove yourself to do things you never expected that you could do. They were like, hey, man, if you can't do it anyway and prove it to yourself, all right? It was very much a, hey, screw your feelings and what your body's saying. Just drive yourself to the max. And I did. We did for probably over a year. I was part of that CrossFit group. Until eventually, my knees started hurting. I was like 24, maybe 25. My knees were hurting like I was in like my 40s. And I was like, ooh, this is not good for me. I need to switch back to a normal way of working out because doing all this stuff so quickly and driving myself 24/7 is hurting my body. You could say, oh, that's your form. But there was this culture that, yeah, you could do the modified version that was easier, but if you did, you're kind of weak. And this thing's about making yourself strong. And so eventually I had to move away from CrossFit and get back into other versions of working out because you drove yourself so hard. As men, we kind of like that culture of you step in, you turn on the music, and you just go for it. That idea of driving yourself beyond your limits all the time can be good. Like, it can be destructive too, though. Like, think of the Marines. The Marines have built a culture over that style of motivation. Just drive yourself. And we like that. Let's do stoicism. That's a whole philosophy built off this idea that your feelings don't matter. You may feel like this, but just cram it into this box and throw that box away because you can do whatever you want. A suck it up and do it kind of motivation. The issue is this can fall into what I would call self-loathing or self-hatred. It can be motivating because of these kind of undertones of self-hatred. And that's not a very good form of motivation for three main reasons that we will talk about on the show today. Hey guys, I am Reese Maxwell. I am part of Thriving Man Life Coaching, and we are doing a series on insecurity. Insecurity is one of the biggest and most important things that you have to conquer if you want to live a thriving life. We're a few episodes in now, and we've got plenty more to go. So I would encourage you, if you haven't watched the previous episodes of this series, we've built it to where it builds off of itself. So go back and watch those episodes. And if you have, I would encourage you to go ahead and click the subscribe button and the bell notification because we release 2 videos a week. And I want you to be up with us to date on what we are covering. So let's go ahead and jump into today. There's 3 main reasons that self-hatred is a pretty sucky form of motivation. First is this. It is draining. It is a very draining way to motivate yourself. This is what's funny. When you try and do something that's difficult, it's difficult. I know. Mind-blowing. But what's funny is when we use self-hatred as a form of motivation, it's like adding a whole nother weight onto what's already a difficult thing for you to accomplish. Self-hatred is like loading up more rocks on your back while you're trying to go for a run. It's this burden that drags you down while you're trying to do something that you're already having to push yourself to do. Self-hatred is motivating for a little while, but then it disappears and becomes draining. Think of a firework. A firework, you light it, it shoots up in the sky, it makes this amazing explosion, and then poof, nothing. That's kind of how self-hatred is as motivation. You get this feeling of like, yeah, I'm going to suck it up and do it. Yeah, screw how I feel. Yeah, let's go. Let's go run 50 miles right now. But then about 10 miles in, let's be honest, probably about a mile in, you're like, never mind. I hate this. I hate this so much. And then you get back to the position where you started, but with a little bit less self-respect. It's not a good way to motivate yourself. I remember when I was in early college, my sophomore year, I was the leader of a hall of guys. 26 guys were on my hall, and I was over that area of the dorm. And one of my visions for that hall was like, I want us to build a brotherhood. So I had this like pizza party with video games and free food and stuff. And I invited everybody on the hall to come, and nobody came. It was like literally probably 5 or 6 guys out of the 26 that even dropped by in the 2 or 3 hour period. So I was like, oh my gosh, I guess I suck at leadership. So that's how I approached trying to drive myself to be a good leader. I was like, well, I got to go visit them for this, or I got to go do that. And what's funny is it didn't really make me do anything extra. I would almost hype myself up. I'm like, all right, I got to be a better leader. I got to do it because I'm sucking at this right now. Let's go. And then I'd stay in my room while hyping myself up and not do anything. Because I was so drained from what was going on up here that I didn't actually take action. All my energy was going towards bad thinking instead of effective action. That's what self-hatred does. It doesn't work. It's ineffective. It's draining. You could also think of the yo-yo dieters. A dieter will be like, all right, this is it. I'm going to lose 50 pounds because I'm fat and I hate the way I look. I'm going to do it. I hate how I feel. I hate how I look, and I'm going to change. And so boom, they go start the crazy diet where you eat like dirt and 2 eggs a day or something like that. And then they join like the craziest workout plan on the planet. And then they jump into it. After about a week or 2, they drop out, and then they feel worse about themselves. It's a draining way to motivate yourself. It does not work. Some people say, oh, well, I've done all this stuff. Okay, well, you're like one out of how many people? 1 out of 100,000, maybe, that actually works for. There are better forms of motivation than self-hatred. The second reason why self-hatred sucks as a form of motivation, why insecurity is not a good way to drive yourself forward, is that it's distracting. About a week ago, the Masters happened. It's one of the most famous golf tournaments in the world that happens in Augusta, Georgia, and everybody like goes to watch. It's a huge deal. It's one of the 4 biggest tournaments in the planet. And you got to see firsthand there how important the mental game of golf was. There would be people who are professional golfers who, because there's so much pressure riding on a putt, they'll miss an easy one. It's all going on up here. If you try to drive yourself up to that level of sport with a bad thinking pattern, that's where it shows. Or on a more practical example, I was in high school on the tennis team. Tennis is a very unforgiving sport. If you are having a bad day and not playing well, there's no other parts of the team that can help you. It's just you. So you're either doing good or you're not doing good. And one of the most important things was that same mental game. If you miss a shot that you should have made, you knew you could make it, and then you got caught up in that and got caught up in the self-loathing of like, oh man, I'm doing terrible today. You're cooked. You're done. Like, you are going to lose that game. You had to really learn how to get out of that headspace in order to play the game well. That's kind of how life is. If you step into life and you up here are beating yourself up all the time, you're going to make yourself ineffective because you're so distracted. You're not going to be able to reach your full potential in life because you're putting all your mental energy into beating yourself up instead of accomplishing something new. It's a distracting way to motivate yourself, and it doesn't work. The final one, and I think it's the most important, is that self-hatred is a destructive form of motivation. It's almost the equivalent of trying to set yourself on fire to get warm. It hurts you. And yeah, you'll be warm for a second, but then you'll be damaged afterwards. It's not a good way to motivate yourself because of the destructive nature it has on your mind, on your soul. It doesn't work well. Bit of a personal story, but I hope it helps you. When I was younger, I struggled with an addiction to pornography. And my tactic to try and get out of that, because I didn't want to stay in it, was to beat myself up. Every time I would promise myself that I'd never do it again, and then I'd fail. And then afterwards, I would beat myself up to atone to God or myself and my family. I felt like I had to beat myself up. And if I beat myself up bad enough afterwards, maybe I'd never go back. That didn't work. Day after day, month after month, year after year, because it lasted years. I eventually had to shift gears. And instead of trying to beat myself up, I had to start inviting new people into the equation to hold me accountable and love me in the midst of my own failures. But I can tell you from personal experience, self-loathing does not set you free. It never will. With your weight, with your habits, with your lifestyle, your relationships, your work, self-loathing is a sucky form of motivation. And I know that from personal experience. And I don't want you to fall into that trap or to live in that trap anymore because it's ineffective. And even if it did work, you would be less of yourself by the time you came out of it. That's the sad thing. To go back to like yo-yo dieting, people eventually go through the cycle of, oh, I hate myself and so I'm going to change, to going back to where exactly I was. And they go through that so many times that they get cynical and they eventually just give up. They become a little bit less and less of themselves every time. And I don't want that to happen to you. So what I want you to do in this coming week is to spend a little bit of time in reflection and ask yourself, are there areas that I'm using this self-loathing to try and motivate myself? That's a form of insecurity, and it's dangerous. It's not just ineffective, it's dangerous for you because it distracts you, it drains you, and it destroys who you are as a person. We don't want that for you. So the challenge is ask yourself, in what areas am I motivating myself through self-loathing? And if the answer is everything, then you know to keep watching this series. But if it's even just one or two things, we really got to shift gears because you don't have to set yourself on fire to be warm. You don't have to destroy yourself to be better. There's a better way. There is a better way. And that's what we're going to be talking about for the remainder of this series. So keep on watching, stick with it, ask yourself that question. We'll see you in the next episode.